Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tiago Reis Marques, and I'm the CEO of Pasithea Therapeutics. I'm also a psychiatrist and a neuroscience, and I spent the past 20 years of my life doing research in mental health and neurological disorders. And it is with great pleasure that I'm here today to introduce our company and what I think is a great investment opportunity. So let me just start by explaining our name. Pasithea is the female god of altered states of conscious, and at Pasithea Therapeutics we aim to address one of the most concerning health problems that are CNS disorders, psychiatric and neurological illness. And in order to achieve that, we have created a complementary two-pronged business model, with one side of the company doing drug discovery and developing novel medications for the treatment of psychiatric and neurological disorders. And as a secondary business, we have clinical partnerships, creating a clinic-based business model that is able to generate revenues and support our ongoing R&D efforts. One of the highlights of our company is definitely the extensive expertise in psychiatry, neurology, and neuroscience. I've mentioned myself as the CEO and also as a researcher in this area, and I'm joined in the team by our chairman, Professor Larry Steinman. He is the chair of the neurology and immunology department at Stanford University, and during the 90s is also a drug developer. During the 90s, out of his lab came a novel mechanism of action called natalizumab that ended up being developed into a drug called Tysabri, multi-billion-dollar drug commercialized by Biogen. For these discoveries, he received the National Academy of Science and National Academy of Medicine Fellowship. He co-founded multiple biotech companies such as Neurocrine, a multi-billion-dollar company, and definitely someone with large expertise in drug development. And finally, our COO, Dr. Yassin Bendibala, who is a leader in medicinal chemistry, having achieved his PhD from UCL. I'm going to start guiding you through our company, focus on our current product pipeline. We have two drugs now being developed, one drug for schizophrenia and psychotic disorders, and the other one for multiple sclerosis. So focusing first on MS. Recent data published this year have shown for the first time a novel understanding of what causes MS. First, a study published in Science in a cohort of 10 million individuals show a link between an infection by Epstein-Barr virus and the onset of MS symptoms. Epstein-Barr virus is a common virus that in a large majority of the population don't cause any symptoms. Some develop a disorder called infectious mononucleosis, and the reason is why some individuals end up developing MS following this infection. And this is what was published and explained in the second paper that was published by Nature, and that was approximately 2 months ago. And what this paper shows is that there is a strong similarity between an antigen in the virus called EBN1 and a protein in our central nervous system called gliacam. And through a process of molecular mimicry, our immune system starts developing antigens, start developing antibodies against this protein in our brain, starting a cascade of events that end up causing MS. Having this knowledge, the most important thing is that this research and explanation of this molecular mimicry mechanism was conducted by our chairman. And We've been trying, having this knowledge, we are now developing a tolerizing vaccine. And what is a tolerizing vaccine? It's a vaccine that, rather than inducing an immune response, it actually tolerizes your immune system, basically bringing down your immune response to a specific antigen. This approach has been tried in the past. There has been some studies and phase 2 trials of tolerizing vaccines, but up to now we didn't know to what antigen should we be developing a tolerizing vaccine. Now that we know it, we are now pushing with our tolerizing vaccine, with preclinical studies currently being conducted in Hook Labs, that is one of the leaders, one of the CRO leaders in animal models of MS, and we hope to have the readouts of this proof of concept preclinical studies by the end of Q2, beginning of Q3. The other drug that we have now in the pipeline and on the MedChem stage is a drug for schizophrenia. It's a drug that also targets the neuroinflammatory pathways, in particular the complement pathway, and also based on research showing that in schizophrenia there is an extensive synaptic elimination, synapse being the part of the communication between two neurons, and we know there's a synaptic reduction in this disorder, and this synaptic reduction through which microglia, the immune cells in our CNS, engulf and eliminate synapse, is mediated by these complement molecules. This approach that we're pursuing is currently being developed in Evotec, that is a powerhouse and one of the largest CROs in the MedChem stage, and we're developing a small molecule for this disorder. As a secondary business, we have a clinic-based business model treating patients currently suffering from psychiatric disorders, namely treatment-resistant depression and treatment-resistant PTSD. And we're using a drug that is an FDA-approved drug and that's been recently repurposed for the treatment of this disorder, that is ketamine. Ketamine is an anesthetic drug, is also a substance of abuse, but when used correctly and when used in psychiatric disorders, it has shown remarkable effects. Actually, up to 70% of patients with treatment-resistant depression, and that's the depression where patients are not responding to their current antidepressant treatment, patients actually respond and show improvement of their symptoms with this drug. And this is particularly relevant because we're now facing a mental health epidemic. There are millions of patients suffering from these disorders. We've seen a rise of up to 30% in the past 10 years in the cases of depression. This has been exponentially increased by the COVID pandemic, and we know that current medication lack efficacy and have numerous side effects. So we need a novel approach for the treatment of these patients, and that's where what ketamine is currently addressing. Ketamine market is still on an early stage. It's a very fragmented market. There are many regional and local players. There's no national consolidation in this market. There's a minimal adoption of technology by these small brick and mortars ketamine clinics. The majority of clinics spend very few money on marketing, on technology, but we see signs of growth in this market. There has been an increase of over 500% in the number of clinics. Public has been accepting this drug, has gone mainstream, a lot of coverage from the press. We've seen other ketamine-like drugs being FDA approved, such as Spravato. So we see also a loss of stigma, and there's definitely room for expansion in this place. So there's definitely market opportunities that we are exploring. So from a brand consolidation and start operating in different markets to putting a strong effort in digital marketing, creating an ecosystem around this industry, investing in technology and also in high compliance. All the treatments is currently done by board specialized doctors with DEA license. And our strategy here is to invest in this ecosystem, create a national brand, leverage onto tech, diversify also our treatment approach after ketamine with other approaches such as RTMS and S-ketamine. And at the moment, we are currently already in operations in the US. In the US, differently to current brick and mortar clinics, we create an Uberized approach. So this means that we have low fixed costs and we treat patients at home. All of the patients are screened by telehealth, by our network of psychiatrists, and if the patients are eligible, we send board-certified doctors to the patient's house with a safety kit and rescue medication to administer these treatments in the home of the patients in a safe environment. This allows us to have very low fixed costs. It allows us to also operate nationwide, and it creates a very capital efficient and Uber model for the treatment of these patients. We're also having anchor clinics, and we're opening a clinic in LA, and we aim to focus on opening clinics in areas with large unmet needs, large population, and high disposable income, such as in LA that we're opening in 2 weeks. We also have service in the UK. There's only 2 clinics currently providing ketamine treatments in all of the UK, and we are one of them. We're doing this in a partnership with a healthcare group called Zen Healthcare, and we currently have operations running in 2 locations in London, and we aim to expand to 2 more locations in this city. So this is what we've achieved since we went public 6 months ago. We started our 2 drug discovery programs. We start our operations in the UK in 2 existing clinics, and we're going to open 2 more clinics in this Q2. We also start operating our treatments in the US, both in California, in New York, Florida, and Nevada, and we aim to expand to other states such as Texas and Illinois in the coming months, and we're looking to other opportunities to expand this network. What are the milestones that we are expecting to achieve over the coming months? So by the end of this quarter, beginning of next quarter, we are going to complete our proof of concept preclinical work for our Polarizing Vaccine in MS. We're also going to open our physical clinic in LA, where we're also going to offer other service rather than only ketamine treatments such as RTMS and S-ketamine, and we're also looking to opportunities to expand our portfolio through M&A opportunities. By the end of the year, we're going to open 2 other clinics in London, offering not only ketamine treatment but also other services such as RTMS and pharmacy service. We're going to launch an affiliation program to try to consolidate the brand, and we're going to expand to other locations in the US. Finally, just to give an overview of where we stand, we went public 6 months ago. We raised 24 million in our IPO. We raised another 30.8 million on a PIPE. We reported on our annual statement 52.9 million in cash. We have 23 million outstanding shares. We have 12.5 million warrants with a weighted average exercise price of approximately $4. We have a cash burn of approximately $5 million a year, so we have an extensive cash runway that goes well over 2024. So that's our company. This is our investment opportunity, and thank you so much for your attention. I don't know if there's any question.
You have some initial clinics both on the West and East Coast. Do you anticipate expanding beyond that?
Yes, so we started in California and New York because these are the most regulated states, and if we can run operations in California and New York, we can cover all of America much easier because the regulations are more fluid over to use of a drug that needs to be given with a DEA license such as ketamine. So of course these are two major states, large population. We started covering LA, Nevada, LA, San Diego and San Francisco, covering New York area. We're now, this month we're starting Florida, and then we are expanding nationwide. Because we operate at home model, it's very easy for us to plug in, plug out if needed. So we just have a network of infusion providers and psychiatrists covering these states, and we have a strong marketing approach. So every time a patient requests one appointment or one treatment, we can easily activate our network of providers. And think about this as one of these Uberized models that is currently existing. One of the few areas where the Uberized model still haven't penetrated is been to medical service. We still going for medical treatments in clinics, but clinics are not that great business because of the fixed costs and the need to operate on capacity. By treating patients at home, we're doing a favor to patients because we're treating patients with severe mental health such as depression, and patients with serious symptoms of depression. They won't leave their beds, they don't even take a shower or able to go outside. So we're serving these patients with these serious mental health, PTSD the same, by going to the patient's house, having very low fixed costs and able to cover a large population area. Thank you so much.